What if the secret to making anyone like you, earning more respect, and becoming a powerful leader could be learned from one story? We are about to unlock those life-changing lessons right now. So subscribe and turn on all notifications to begin your transformation and master the art of influence. Now, this is not just a book. It is a revolution. It's a new way of thinking about communication, about our relationships, and about our success in life. Think about this for a moment. Over 30 million copies have been sold around the world. It has been translated into so many different languages. It has been used by world leaders, by famous entrepreneurs, and by successful people in every country on earth. So what you are about to hear is not just a summary of a book. It is a life lesson, a guide to living a better, happier life. If you are a person who wants to build strong, lasting relationships, if you want to feel more confident when you talk to people, if you want to improve your communication skills, if you want to win people's trust and their respect, and if you want to get more opportunities in your life, then this book is for you. And most importantly, if you want to influence people in a positive, kind, and respectful way, then you have come to the right place. In this special series, I will break down every single detail of this timeless classic book. We will go through it together step by step in detailed parts. By the end of our journey, you will not only understand the book perfectly, but you will also improve your English listening skills. I will explain everything in a very easy, clear, and engaging way, just like we always do here. So what will you learn in this summary? We will discover how to make people like you almost instantly. We will learn how to win people to your way of thinking without any arguments. We will find out how to handle difficult situations, how to manage disagreements without creating anger or frustration. We will learn how to become a great leader, the kind of person others want to follow without ever forcing them. And we will learn how to help change people's behavior without offending them or hurting their feelings. This wonderful book was written all the way back in the 1930s. That's a long time ago, isn't it? But its principles, its lessons, are still being used today by some of the most successful and admired people in the world. The ideas in this book are truly timeless. Let's look at a few examples just to see the power of these ideas. Think about Warren Buffett. Today, he is one of the richest men alive, but he was not always so confident. He credits this book for transforming his communication skills. He learned how to overcome his shyness. He mastered the art of building relationships. He became known not just for his intelligence, but for his warmth, his kindness, and that became a key to his incredible success. Or what about Oprah Winfrey? She built a global empire by making people feel truly valued. What was her secret? She listened. She really truly listened. She appreciated people, and she connected with them on a deep emotional level. She proved one of Carnegie's most important principles. People care more about how much you care than how much you know. Her success came from her heart. And think about a world leader like Barack Obama. He influenced millions of people around the world. How did he do it? He did it by respecting others, even those who disagreed with him. He listened very carefully before he spoke. And he always tried to stay calm even in difficult situations. He proved another of Carnegie's timeless lessons. Respect is what builds influence. To truly understand this book, we must first try to understand people. What do people really want deep down in their hearts? Why do they do the things they do? Why do they behave in a certain way? Carnegie says that dealing with people is probably the biggest, most important problem you will ever face in your life. It's true in your job, in your family relationships, in your business, and in your social life. Your success, your happiness, it all depends on how well you understand and connect with other people. Lesson 1. The most important thing. People want. So let's begin with the first and most important lesson. There is one thing, one deep desire that every single human being wants more than money, more than fame, or even more than success. It is the desire to feel important. People crave recognition. They want to be respected. They want to feel appreciated for who they are and what they do. Carnegie gives a brilliant example of a man named Charles Schwab, who was one of America's greatest business leaders. Schwab had a deep understanding of people. He once said, "The way to develop the best that is in a person is by appreciation and encouragement." He understood a simple truth: people will always do more for those who make them feel valued. People will work harder, try longer, and care more if they feel that their efforts are seen and appreciated. Think about your own life for a moment. Imagine you are working hard on a project. When someone you respect, like a manager or a teacher, truly acknowledges your efforts, how does it make you feel? You feel energized, don't you? You feel inspired to do even better next time. That is the incredible power of sincere appreciation. But here, the key word is sincerity. It must be real. People can always sense fake compliments. They can feel when someone is not being honest, and they will reject that. Your appreciation must come from a true place. Let's imagine a simple example. You are in a restaurant, and the waiter brings your food. You could just take the plate, look down, and ignore him. He is just doing his job after all. Or you could look up, smile warmly, and say, "Wow, this looks absolutely delicious. Thank you so much for bringing it." What happens in that small moment? The waiter will instantly feel valued. He will feel respected. That small, simple action of yours can completely change his mood. It can make him feel happy, and it creates a positive, warm experience for both of you. The lesson is simple, but powerful. If you make people feel important, they will like you, and they will remember you forever. Lesson 2. The worst mistake you can make in any relationship. Now let's talk about the opposite. What is the one thing that can destroy relationships and create problems? Carnegie says, never criticize, condemn, or complain. This is one of the biggest secrets to success in both our personal and our professional lives. Let's break it down. Criticizing people doesn't help them improve. It only makes them feel defensive. When you criticize someone, they immediately put up a wall to protect their pride. Condemning or blaming others only creates enemies. Nobody likes to be told they are wrong. And complaining just makes you seem like a negative person, someone that others don't want to be around. Let's imagine you are a manager at a company. One of your employees, let's call him Tom, makes a mistake on an important report. You have two choices. You could criticize him. You could say, "Tom, you always mess things up. Why can't you ever do things right?" How would Tom feel? He would feel insulted, ashamed, and demotivated. He might even start to resent you. Or you could handle it wisely. You could call him into your office quietly and say, "Hey, Tom, I was looking at the report, and I noticed a small issue here. Let's take a look together and see how we can fix it." This approach makes him feel respected. It shows that you are on his side, that you want to help him, not attack him. He will be much more willing to learn and to improve. The lesson is clear. Instead of attacking people for their mistakes, help them improve with kindness and encouragement. Lesson 3. The power of appreciation. So if we shouldn't criticize, what should we do instead? Carnegie teaches us that people will do almost anything for those who genuinely appreciate them. And again, the key word here is genuine. It has to be honest and from the heart. How can you apply this in your daily life? Let's think about it. At your workplace, instead of just saying a quick good job to a colleague. Be specific. Tell them exactly what you liked. You could say your presentation today was so clear and well-structured. It really helped all of us understand the topic much better. That person will feel incredibly proud. In your relationships with your family or your partner, don't let the small things go unnoticed. Instead of ignoring the small kind efforts they make every day, appreciate them. You could say, "I love how you always make my morning coffee just the way I like it. It's a small thing, but it means a lot to me." Even with strangers, this principle works wonders. Imagine you see a security guard standing outside in the cold weather. You could simply walk by. Or you could pause for a moment, look him in the eye, and say, "I really respect the hard work you do standing out here in the cold to keep us safe. Thank you." You might be the only person who said that to him all day. Carnegie tells a wonderful story about a businessman who was having trouble with his employees. They were not working very hard, and their motivation was low. Instead of criticizing them or threatening them, he decided to try something different. He started walking around the office and appreciating their small efforts. He would stop at one person's desk and say, "That's a very organized way to handle those files." He would tell another, "I really appreciate you staying a few minutes late to finish that task yesterday." And guess what happened? Their productivity doubled. They worked harder not because they were afraid, but because they felt appreciated. The lesson is simple. People work harder, they love more, and they will respect you more when they feel truly appreciated. Lesson 4. The magic of a smile. Let's move on to something very simple, something we can all do. Carnegie says that your smile is an incredibly powerful tool. When you meet someone for the first time, they judge you within the first few seconds. It's not fair, but it's true. Your posture, your body language, and especially your facial expressions create an instant impression. If you enter a room with a serious face, with your shoulders down, a cold expression, and no energy, what happens? People will feel a little uncomfortable around you. They might think you are unfriendly or unhappy. But if you enter that same room with a warm, genuine smile, people will feel an instant sense of comfort and connection. A smile is a universal language. You don't need any words. A smile can tell someone, "I am friendly. I am happy to see you. I am a safe person." It can win people's trust before you even speak a single word. But again, the key is genuineness. A fake smile, one that doesn't reach your eyes, is worse than no smile at all. A real smile comes from inside. It comes from positive emotions and true warmth. A simple, real smile can make people trust you instantly. It can make you look more confident and friendly. It can even turn enemies or people who are unsure about you into friends. Imagine two shopkeepers on the same street. One of them always looks serious, maybe a little bit stressed, and never smiles. The other one always greets customers with a big, warm, welcoming smile. Who do you think will have more customers? Of course, it will be the second one. People are naturally drawn to positivity and warmth. A smile is like a magnet. So the lesson is easy if you want to be more likable. Start smiling more. Lesson 5. The most beautiful sound in the world. What is the most beautiful sound in the world to any person? Is it music? Is it the sound of the ocean? No. Carnegie says that a person's name is the sweetest and most important sound to them in any language. When you remember and use someone's name, it creates an instant bond. It's like you are sending them a secret message that says, "You are important to me. I see you. I remember you." People love hearing their own name. It makes them feel special and valued. It creates a personal and immediate connection. Think about it. If you meet someone new, someone named Jackson, and a few minutes later you say, "Hey, it was nice to meet you." That's fine. It's polite. But what if you say, "Jackson, it was really great to meet you"? Which one do you think Jackson will remember? The second one, of course. Using his name makes the interaction personal and much more memorable for him. So the lesson here is a practical one. The next time you meet someone new, make an effort to remember their name, and then use their name naturally and often in the conversation. It's a simple change that makes a huge difference. Lesson 6. The power of genuine interest. If you want to make people like you, if you want to build real friendships, the first and most important rule is this: you must show genuine interest in them. Most of us, if we are honest, go through life thinking mostly about ourselves. We wake up thinking about our own problems, our own goals, our own dreams. We often enter conversations just waiting for our turn to speak. We are not really listening. We are just waiting to talk about ourselves, our life, our achievements, our problems. But the real secret to being likable is the exact opposite. If you want people to like you, you must make them feel important. And the best way to do that is by showing genuine, sincere interest in them. Let's imagine two different conversations. In the first conversation, a man meets a colleague at work. He says, "Hey, how are you?" But he doesn't even wait for a real answer. He immediately starts talking about his own life, his busy weekend, his successes, his problems. The colleague just stands there nodding politely. Now let's imagine a second conversation. Another man meets that same colleague. But instead of talking about himself, he asks, "How have you been? I haven't seen you in a few days. What have you been working on?" And when the colleague starts to answer, this man listens with his full attention. He puts his phone away. He asks follow-up questions. He makes the other person feel heard and valued. Who do you think will be more likable? Who will that colleague remember as a kind and interesting person? It will be the second man, of course. The truth is, people love talking about themselves. It's their favorite subject. If you can show genuine curiosity about their life, they will feel an instant and powerful connection with you. Dale Carnegie tells a wonderful story about a man who went to a big party. At this party, he barely spoke about himself at all. He decided to try an experiment. He spent the entire evening just listening to other people. He would ask them about their hobbies, their work, their families. He would ask questions and make them feel like the most fascinating people in the room. After the party, as he was leaving, one of the guests came up to him and said, "You are the most interesting person I have ever met." But in reality, that man had only asked questions and listened. People don't always want to hear about you. They want to be heard. The lesson is simple but profound. The next time you meet someone, forget about trying to impress them. Instead, be deeply and genuinely interested in them. Lesson 7. The art of being a good listener. Being interested in people is the first step, but if you don't know how to listen properly, it won't work. Most people listen only to respond. They don't listen to understand. Think about a normal conversation you might have. Someone is talking, and instead of actually focusing on their words and their feelings, your mind is already working. You are preparing what you are going to say next. Your mind is just waiting for a small pause for that moment when you can jump in and share your own story or opinion. This is a very common mistake. Carnegie says that a true listener is very rare. And because a true listener is rare, a true listener is powerful. The greatest leaders in the world, from presidents to CEOs of big companies, have one important thing in common: they listen more than they speak. When you truly listen to someone, you are giving them a wonderful gift. You are giving them your time and your attention. You are making them feel valued and important. And when someone feels important around you, they will naturally like you. There is a simple exercise you can do to become a better listener. The next time you are in a conversation, challenge yourself to not interrupt the other person, not even once. Let them finish their entire thought. Instead of immediately jumping in with your own idea, take a breath, pause for a moment, and then ask them a question that is related to what they just said. This will often shock people in a good way. They are so used to people cutting them off or waiting to speak. When they realize that you are actually truly listening, they will feel a much deeper and more trusting connection with you. Lesson 8. The power of talking in terms of other people's interests. Imagine you walk into a room full of strangers. If you start talking about a topic that you love, but that they don't know or care about, what will happen? They will quickly lose interest. They might look at their phones or start talking to someone else. But what if you enter that same room and you first observe the people? You listen to their conversations. You try to find out what they are passionate about. And then you talk about those things. If you do that, they will instantly enjoy your presence. They will think you are a fascinating person to talk to. Carnegie tells a great story about a businessman who wanted to close a very important deal with a major client. He could have gone into the meeting and started talking all about his company, his products, and what they offered. But instead, he did some research before the meeting. He found out that this important client absolutely loved fishing. It was his passion. When the meeting started, the businessman didn't talk about business at all. He smiled and said, "I heard that you are a passionate fisherman. I was wondering, what's the biggest fish you have ever caught?" Suddenly, the client's face lit up. His eyes became bright. Instead of a boring, formal business meeting, the two men talked excitedly about fishing for almost an hour. By the end of that conversation, they had built a real human connection. And yes, the businessman got the deal. Why? Because he talked about what the other person loved. If you want people to enjoy being around you, find out what excites them. Find out what they are interested in, and talk about that. Lesson 9. The power of avoiding arguments. Have you ever been in a situation where you won an argument but you lost the person? That is exactly what happens when people argue. Even if you are 100% right, if you attack and destroy the other person's opinion, they will not change their mind. Instead, they will feel humiliated. Their ego, their pride will be hurt, and it will force them to continue to defend their original position, even if they know it's wrong. Dale Carnegie tells a story about a famous man from American history named Benjamin Franklin. When Franklin was young, he was known for being arrogant and argumentative. He loved to prove other people wrong. But he later became one of the most charming, persuasive, and beloved men in history. How did he change so much? He decided to follow one simple rule for himself. I will never argue with anyone. Instead of proving others wrong directly, he learned to ask gentle questions. He learned to listen carefully, and he learned to guide people to the right conclusion without making them feel foolish or defeated. One of the greatest thinkers in history, the ancient Greek philosopher Socrates, used this same method. Instead of debating people aggressively, he would ask a series of small, easy-to-agree-with questions. For example, instead of saying, "You're wrong about that," he would ask something like, "Wouldn't you agree that this part is true?" And step by step, question by question, he would guide the conversation. This amazing technique is called the Socratic method, and it is one of the most powerful and respectful ways to influence people. Lesson 10. Admitting your mistakes immediately and honestly. Let's imagine two different situations. In the first situation, a man makes a mistake at his job. When his boss confronts him about it, he immediately denies it. He blames other people. He makes excuses. He tries to protect himself. Now imagine a second situation. Another man makes a similar mistake. But instead of defending himself, he immediately looks at his boss and says, "You are absolutely right. I made a mistake, and I take full responsibility. I am very sorry, and I will make sure it does not happen again." Who do you think earns more respect from the boss? It's the second man, of course. Most people hate admitting that they are wrong. Our ego gets in the way. We argue, we justify, we fight, and this only makes the other person more angry and frustrated. But when you immediately and honestly admit your mistake, something magical happens. The other person's anger often just disappears. They were ready for a fight, but you didn't give them one. Instead of wanting to attack you, they often start to respect you for your honesty and courage. There's a great example in the book where a man got pulled over by a police officer for speeding. Instead of arguing or making an excuse, the man admitted his mistake before the officer even had a chance to speak. He said, "Officer, I am so sorry. I was driving too fast and I have no excuse. I completely understand if you need to give me a ticket." The officer was so surprised by this honest confession. He was expecting an argument. But instead of giving the man a ticket, he just gave him a friendly warning and let him go. Why? Because when you admit your mistake first, the other person doesn't feel the need to attack you or prove you wrong anymore. So the next time you make a mistake, don't argue. Admit it immediately and honestly. People will respect you more, and conflicts will simply melt away. Lesson 11. Let the other person feel that the idea is theirs. People do not like being told what to do. We all want to feel that we are in control of our own lives and our own decisions. So if you want to persuade someone, a very powerful technique is to avoid forcing your idea on them. Instead, you should make the other person feel like they came up with the idea themselves. A great way to do this is by asking the right questions instead of giving direct orders. For example, imagine a manager who wants her employee to be more productive. A bad approach would be to say, "You need to work harder and be more efficient." That sounds like a command. A much better approach would be to ask a question. The manager could say, "What do you think are some ways we could improve our team's efficiency?" By asking a question, the manager makes the employee think. She invites him to participate in solving the problem. The employee might come up with some great ideas, maybe even the same ideas the manager had. But because he feels like he contributed to the solution, he will feel a sense of ownership over the idea. He will be much more motivated and excited to act on it. Carnegie gives an example of a business leader who needed his sales team to completely change their approach. Instead of forcing the new strategy on them, he held a meeting. He stood in front of them and asked, "Our sales have been down. What do you all think is the best way to increase our sales and connect with new customers?" The employees started talking, sharing ideas, and brainstorming. And eventually, they came up with the exact same solution that the leader wanted all along. But because they thought it was their own idea, they were incredibly excited and motivated to implement it. This is a subtle but powerful psychological trick used by the best leaders. Instead of telling people what to do, you guide them to the conclusion naturally. Lesson 12. Dramatize your ideas. People don't remember dry facts and figures. They remember stories. They remember emotions. If you want to convince someone of something, don't just give them cold, hard logic. Instead, make your idea dramatic, visual, and engaging. There's a wonderful example in the book where a company was struggling to get its employees to fill out their daily reports on time. The manager kept sending out boring emails saying, "Please remember to submit your reports." but nothing changed. So the manager did something unusual and creative. He bought a large hourglass, one of those glass timers with sand inside. He brought it to the office and placed it in the middle of the room where everyone could see it. He turned it upside down, and the sand started to fall. Then he said to everyone, "This is how much time we have left before today's reports are due." It was a simple action, but it was dramatic. It caught people's attention. By turning a simple request into something visual and urgent, he made people act. This is why the greatest speeches in history use stories, metaphors, and dramatic examples. When Martin Luther King Jr. gave his famous speech, he didn't just say, "I believe in a future of equality." He said, "I have a dream." It was poetic and powerful. When Steve Jobs introduced the very first iPhone, he didn't say, "We made a new phone with a touch screen." He stood on the stage and said, "Today, we are going to change the world." If you want to influence people, don't just use words. Use stories, use visuals, and use emotion. Lesson 13. Begin with praise and honest appreciation. Nobody likes to be criticized. It doesn't matter if the criticism is true. The moment a person feels attacked, their ego goes into defense mode. They put up a wall, and they stop listening to you. But what if you genuinely need to correct someone? How can you help someone change their behavior without making them feel bad? The answer, Carnegie says, is to always start with honest praise. For example, imagine you are a manager and your employee, let's call him Mark, is always arriving late for work. If you directly confront him and say, "Mark, you're always late. This is unacceptable," he will immediately feel attacked. He will likely become defensive and start making excuses. But what if you start with praise? He will be much more open to listening. A better approach would be to invite Mark for a quiet chat and say something like this: "Mark, you are one of the most talented and creative employees we have in this office. Your work is always excellent and your ideas are inspiring to the whole team." First, you make him feel valued. Then, you gently introduce the problem. "I just have one small concern. I've noticed that you've been arriving a little late recently, and I know that's not really like you. Is there anything going on that we can help with to fix this?" Now, instead of feeling criticized, Mark feels valued and respected. He knows you appreciate his good qualities. Because of this, he will be much more open to listening to your concern and changing his behavior. This technique is used by the greatest leaders. Instead of breaking people down with criticism, they first lift them up with praise, and then they gently guide them towards improvement. People don't like taking advice from someone who acts superior to them. But when you admit your own mistakes first, people become much more open to listening. For example, let's say you are a father and you want to advise your son to stop procrastinating, to stop waiting until the last minute to do his schoolwork. Instead of just telling him, "You need to stop wasting time and study more," which sounds like a lecture, a better approach would be to share your own experience. You could say, "You know, when I was your age, I used to struggle with procrastination too. I would always wait until the very last minute to study for my exams, and it caused me so much stress. But then I learned a simple little trick that really helped me. Do you want to know what it is?" Now, instead of feeling lectured or judged, the son feels understood. He sees that his father is not just giving orders from above. He is sharing a personal human experience. This powerful technique is used by the best mentors, coaches, and leaders. They don't just tell people what to do. They show them that they have made the same mistakes themselves, and they share how they overcame them. When people see that you have struggled too, they trust you more. And when they trust you, they listen to you. Lesson 14. Ask questions. Instead of giving direct orders. As we've learned, nobody likes being told what to do. When you give someone a direct order, their natural human instinct is often to resist it even just a little bit. But when you ask a question instead, people feel like they have a choice. They feel in control. Imagine you are a parent trying to get your young child to clean their room. Instead of saying, "Clean your room right now," which will probably lead to a fight, you could try asking a question. You could ask, "How do you feel when your room is all neat and organized and you can find all your favorite toys?" By asking this question, you make the child think and reflect on the positive benefits of a clean space. When they realize the answer on their own, they feel much more motivated to clean rather than feeling forced to do it. This method is used by great teachers and mentors. Instead of giving direct orders, they guide people to discover the right choice for themselves. Lesson 15. Let the other person save face. One of the biggest and most damaging mistakes people make in relationships is to embarrass others, especially when they make a mistake in public. This deeply damages trust and creates lasting resentment. The best way to correct someone is to always help them save face, which means protecting their dignity and their pride. For example, if a co-worker of yours made a clear error on an important project that you are both working on, instead of pointing it out in front of everyone in a meeting, you could wait and talk to them privately. And instead of saying, "You made a mistake here," you could say something much gentler. "I know how hard you worked on this. I noticed one small thing that I think we could tweak to make it even better. What do you think?" By framing it this way, as a suggestion for improvement from a teammate, your coworker doesn't feel humiliated or embarrassed. Instead, they feel supported and encouraged to improve. A great example of this principle comes from a story about Charles Schwab, the famous businessman. One day, he was walking through one of his steel mills. He saw a group of his workers smoking directly under a large no smoking sign. Instead of yelling at them or threatening to fire them, he did something brilliant. He walked over to the men, took out a box of expensive cigars from his pocket, and offered one to each of the workers. Then he said with a friendly smile, "Boys, I'd appreciate it if you would smoke these outside." By doing this, he corrected their behavior completely, but he did it without embarrassing them. He treated them with dignity. The workers respected him even more for it. The lesson is vital. If you want to change someone's behavior, always help them save face. If you attack their dignity, they will resist you. But if you protect their dignity, they will listen to you. Lesson 16. Give the other person a fine reputation to live up to. People will often rise to meet the expectations you set for them. If you constantly tell someone you are so careless and irresponsible, they will start to believe it, and they will act that way. But if you say to that same person, "I know you are a very responsible person, and I trust you completely," they will try their very best to prove you right. Dale Carnegie shares a wonderful story about a foreman in a factory. This foreman had an employee who was known for being lazy and unmotivated. Instead of scolding him or firing him, the foreman decided to try a different approach. He called the employee into his office and said, "You know, I've been watching you work, and I see a lot of potential in you. I believe you are one of the most capable and skilled workers we have here." The lazy employee was shocked, but also deeply inspired by these words. No one had ever expressed such faith in him. He completely changed his behavior. He started working harder than anyone else because he wanted to live up to that new positive reputation the foreman had given him. This powerful technique works in every single area of life. If you tell a child you are so responsible and helpful, they will try to be more responsible. If you tell a member of your team, "You are a natural leader," they will start to step up and act like a leader. If you tell a friend, "You are always so kind and thoughtful," they will act in a kind and thoughtful way. People behave according to the identity they believe they have. If you give someone a positive reputation, a good name to live up to, they will do everything in their power to maintain it. This is how the best leaders inspire incredible transformation in other people. Instead of criticizing, they believe in people even before those people believe in themselves. And when you believe in someone, they will rise to meet that belief. This is the true power of influence without force. Lesson 17. Throw down a challenge. There is something deep inside human nature that loves a good challenge. People are naturally competitive, not just with others, but with themselves. If you present a task as a challenge, people will rise to the occasion with energy and excitement. This is how great leaders bring out the very best in others. There's a story about a restaurant owner who was struggling to get his chefs to prepare meals faster, but without losing the high quality of the food. He could have demanded more speed. He could have threatened consequences. But instead, he used a simple but powerful challenge. One day, he gathered his entire kitchen staff together. He said, "Right now, our record for making a perfect steak dinner from the order to the plate is 12 minutes. That's good. But I wonder if anyone here is good enough to do it in 10 minutes without sacrificing a single bit of quality." At first, the chefs just laughed. But the idea of the challenge sparked their curiosity. One chef decided to try it. Then another. Soon the entire team was competing in a friendly way to cook faster while maintaining perfection. Within a few weeks, the restaurant's average service time had improved dramatically, and customer satisfaction went through the roof. This change didn't happen because of pressure or fear. It happened because the chefs felt excited and motivated to push their own limits. How can you use this in your life? If you're a manager, you can challenge your team. You could say, "Last week we finished this type of project in 3 days. Let's see if we can do it in 2 this week without cutting any corners." If you're a personal trainer, instead of just saying, "Do 20 push-ups," you could say, "Your record is 15 push-ups. I bet you can beat that today." If you're a parent, instead of demanding "Clean your room," you could say, "Let's see if you can get your room clean before this song on the radio ends." A simple challenge can turn a boring, difficult task into an exciting game. Instead of feeling forced, people feel driven and engaged. That is the power of true motivation. Lesson 18. Become the kind of person everyone wants to follow. Ultimately, the greatest way to win friends and influence people is not through techniques or tricks. It is through your own character. If you become the kind of person who is genuinely interested in other people, who always tries to lift people up, who respects their dignity, and who makes them feel important, you will never struggle with relationships, business, or leadership. People are naturally and powerfully drawn to those who make them feel good about themselves. If you truly apply all the principles we have talked about in this book, you will not only improve your ability to influence others in a positive way, you will become someone that people genuinely admire, trust, and respect. This book is not just about winning friends, it's about winning hearts, it's about earning trust. And it's about creating deep, meaningful, and beautiful relationships that can last for a lifetime. And if you can master these lessons, you won't just change others, you will change yourself. And that, my friends, is the greatest victory of all. Now that we have covered all of these key lessons from how to win friends and influence people, let's take this knowledge to the next level. Because it's one thing to understand these ideas, and it's another thing to use them. Many people read this book, they feel inspired for a week, but then they fail to apply its principles in their daily lives. Remember, success in life isn't just about what you know or what degree you have. It's about how well you communicate. Winning people's trust and respect will open more doors for you than any skill or qualification ever could. Every great leader, every successful entrepreneur, every happy person understands one simple truth. Making others feel important is the key to influence and to a successful life. But many people who read this book fail to see results. Why does this happen? It's usually because they make a few critical mistakes. The first mistake is trying to manipulate people. Some people learn these techniques and use them to fake kindness. They pretend to care just to get what they want. This will never work in the long run. People have a sixth sense for dishonesty. The solution is simple. Apply these principles genuinely. Don't just act nice, be nice. Build relationships for the long term, not just for a short-term benefit. The second common mistake is forgetting to listen. Many people get so focused on how they should talk, what they should say, that they forget the most important part of communication: listening. Carnegie himself said, "Be a good listener." Encourage others to talk about themselves. The solution is to ask more questions than you answer. Let people share their thoughts and their feelings. Show real active interest in what others are saying, instead of just waiting for your turn to speak. The third mistake is giving up too soon. People expect to see results immediately. They try these techniques for a few days, and when they don't see a dramatic change, they give up and go back to their old habits. But building trust and changing relationships takes time. The solution is to be patient and persistent. Keep practicing these principles every single day. Stay consistent, and over time, you will see your relationships transform in beautiful ways. So let's create a simple but powerful action plan. A little guide that you can use to apply these lessons every single day. Let's start with a morning routine. When you wake up, start your day with the right mindset. Before you check your phone or think about your problems, remind yourself of one goal. Today, I will focus on making other people feel important. And then, practice smiling. Just stand in front of the mirror for 30 seconds and practice a warm, genuine smile. It will change your own mood. Then, set a small goal for the day. For example, decide that you will give a genuine compliment to at least 3 people today. Then, during the day, apply these principles in your conversations. At work or at school, greet people with that warm smile you practiced. Use their names when you talk to them. It feels so good to be remembered. And look for an opportunity to give at least one sincere, specific compliment to someone. With your family and your friends, practice the art of listening. Listen more than you talk. Put your phone away when they are speaking to you. Ask about their day and show them that you are truly interested. Find something, even a small thing, to appreciate about them, and say it out loud. Even in public places with strangers, you can practice. Be polite and kind to waiters, shopkeepers, and cashiers. Thank people whenever possible. Notice the small details like a name tag and use their name. Appreciate their help. By following this simple daily plan, you will not only improve your English and your communication skills, but you will slowly become a person that everyone loves to be around. You will become a magnet for positive relationships. How to Win Friends and Influence People is not just a book. It is a life-changing guide that has transformed the lives of millions of people. But the real magic, the real power lies in using these principles every single day. If you apply these lessons with a sincere heart, you will win more friends effortlessly. You will become more confident in yourself and more respected by others. You will attract more success, more happiness, and more opportunities into your life than you ever thought possible. This is not just the end of our summary. It is the beginning of your transformation. Now it is your turn. It's time to take what you have learned and start building the kind of life where people respect you, admire you, and trust you. Thank you for joining me on this journey.